Okay, सब लोग हैं?
Yeah, can start.
So today's class is on biometry. So biometry, what is? It's basically the anatomical structure measurement scan. Okay, so anatomically we can measure the curvatures of in the eye. We can measure the curvatures of the eye, the axial length of the eye, the wide to wide measurements, and finally we can measure the IOL calculation. Basically, it's for to operate a cataract, and there are multiple types of biometric scans which are available. The first one, the basic one, is the contact biometry. Then the ultrasound biometry, which is also we can do by immersion scan, and the third is the most advanced one is the optical biometry. So there are basic requirements which are there. Today we'll take a class on optical biometry. Okay, so it is an laser interferometry. Okay, laser interferometry means what? Infrared lights are used to measure the axial length of the eye. Okay, so there are mirrors, multiple mirrors. There is one moving mirror and there is a standard mirror, and the optical densities of each structure of the eye is measured with the interferometer, and that is interpreted as optical densiometer. So according to that, we get the various measurements of the eye, and we can calculate the IOL power accordingly. Okay, so there are basic requirements like, first of all, when we are going to measure an eye, do an optical biometer, first the eye should be untouched. Okay, untouched means what? So the patient shouldn't be wearing any contact lenses, first of all, and we shouldn't do any so that it changes the corneal curvatures or excellent measurements. Okay. The other thing is the corneal surface should be regular. Regular means there should be contact of the tear film and the cornea should be maintained. So we have to tell the patient to blink frequently while measurement of IOL. And if there is a dry eye previously, so it should be treated. Okay. So dry eye treatment is very much important. And if you want to use any lubricating eye drops, it should be prior to the measurement, like half an hour to 1 hour prior to measurement of eye. Okay. And contact lens if the patient is using, so we should advise the patient to stop use of the contact lens prior. In soft contact lenses, it should be at least 2 to 3 weeks. And in hard contact lenses, the period increases, like 3 to 4 weeks you have to advise to stop. Okay. There are multiple modes which can be done in IOL Master. Like there is an automatic mode and there is a manual mode. Okay. And the patient's alignment to the machine is very important because we use the fixation of the eye to measure the axial length or any other measurements like corneal surfaces, the anterior impedance. Okay, those fixation is very important. So there are
Can't
some
see
limits.
on the screen.
Uh,
Priyanka, I can't see anything on the screen.
so actually, this is basically interactive only, sir. So I
Okay.
have put some slides over the IOL Master slide. So
Okay.
these are the
Then,
IOL Master readings which I have
yeah,
put
better to
on
skip
the.
theory and just give practical tips.
Okay, sir. So practically, so first, while doing the IOL Master measurements, the first is this is the interpretation which can be done. So first is the lens status which is there. So these can be patient's eye condition. Like if it's phakic, we get a phakic measurement, or pseudophakic, we get a different measurements. So vitreous body, vitreous state, VS is a vitreous body. Okay. So we can select the vitreous body if the patient has a normal eye, phakic eye. We can also change it to silicon filled eye or the post vitrectomy eyes. And refraction is optional. We can put it or you can leave it. Okay. LVC is vision correction, which is there. Laser vision correction, which we can select by LASIK laser or PRK or trans PRK accordingly. There are multiple modes which are present. So if it is untreated, we can select the untreated. Okay. These are the target refraction and surgically induced astigmatism. SIA is surgically induced astigmatism. So you can calculate your SIA according to your surgeries, multiple modes, and there is a calculation formula available on internet also. So AL is the axial length measurement. So axial length measurement can be done, and this is 21.78 measurement is there. So this is less than 22. Okay. So it is has a shorter eye length. Okay. And more than 25 is a longer eye length. Okay. Myopic. So this is the standard deviation which is given here according to that. So anterior chamber depth 2.99. So there are multiple measurements which are given here. So surgical, this is the spherical equivalent which is there. Spherical equivalent of the keratometry readings we can use. So, and this is the total spherical equivalent. Total spherical equivalent considers the posterior curvature of the cornea also. And the difference between the steep and the flat axis we can get with the total keratometry. Here, the steep axis is 47.32 diopters. Okay. And the flat axis is 47.11 diopters. So the difference between the two comes out to be 0. How much should be the difference here? You can calculate 47.93 and 46.72. So what is this? 0.2. So now the total PK value, it is considering the posterior corneal curvature also. So which comes out to be plus 1.22 diopters on 13 degrees axis. This is the steepest axis which is there. Okay. And we can use multiple formulas with IOL Master. The most standard which we use is the Barrett's IOL Master calculation. So we can use multiple different, like Haggis we can use for refractive error where the refractive surgeries are done, previous refractive surgeries. Or you can use Hill RF or Olson's or newer methods are there which we can use. But the most commonly used is the Barrett suit, which is available. So, and there are multiple lenses types also. You can select the lens type which you are going to install in the patient. So here there are Alcon Acrysoft is present and Alcon Acrysoft NS68. So there are see the care group RYCF, and you get a different measurements for every IOL. It depends upon the A constant also. So this is the power spherical equivalent which is there, and the next to it is the IOL cylindrical power which comes. Okay, this is 1.5 the total for metropia. Okay. So in IOL Master, there are 5 different things which are considered for IOL calculation. First is the axial length measurement. Second is the anterior chamber depth. Third is the corneal curvatures, keratometry. and fourth is the white to white diameter. Okay, so you have to check prior biometric scan. Okay, if your IOL calculation is correct or not. See, now here you can see the green lines. Okay, the first one is the corneal curvature, so cornea. And the second in between these is the anterior chamber depth. This is the lens thickness which is given. And here is the retinal scan or the fixation. This is the fixation scan. Here. Okay. So you have to see the foveal depth here. Okay. In IOL optical biometer, the axial length is measured from the anterior surface of the cornea till the retinal pigment epithelium. Okay. It is not measured till the foveal internal limiting goes beyond that and measures the RP pigment layer. In immersion, it measures till the internal limiting membrane also only. In the contact tonometry also. And the contact tonometry, why is it different? Because there is indentation of the cornea during contact biometry. So that's why the measurement can differ. Axial length measurement can differ. So optical measurement, optical biometer has its advantages. Okay. So if you can detect your biometry is correct or not with the formulas here. See, you have to first of all check the white to white diameters. If the pupil and the iris is correct, the alignment of the pupil and the iris, and the alignment of iris and the sclera. Okay, you have to check this if it's correct or not. And you have to also check the Chang-Manning score. What does that mean? Chang-Manning score means the pupillary axis and the visual axis should be the same. The alignment between the pupillary axis and the visual axis. Okay, you can check these 6 dots whether it's in the pupillary axis or not. Or is there any deviation between the axis or the pupillary axis? So which we can detect with CWC. So this is the Chang-Manning chord measurement. That is angle kappa. Okay. So it shouldn't be more than 0.5 millimeters. If it's more than 0.5 millimeters, that means we can't install multifocal IOLs in those cases. Okay. Third. Okay. And what is this? IX, IY, and P values. So you might be wondering what it is. So this is the iris axis and on X and Y axis. Okay, this is IX is X axis and IY is the Y axis. How do we measure these? So we measure the corneal apex and the center of the iris on X and Y axis. Okay, so it shouldn't be more than 0.5 here and there. Corneal apex, yes. Corneal apex and the iris plane. X and Y axis, not like the center. ACD is what it is the corneal curvature in the center and the lenticular plane, not the iris plane. Okay. So these measurements you have to see, okay? And the foveal fixation also. Yeah. Okay. Controls that. So here you can see a fine alignment. That was the coarse alignment which you had seen. Okay. This fine alignment can be measured with 18 points on the keratometry. Okay. And these should be small and sharp. It shouldn't be fuzzier. Okay, broad and fuzzier it shouldn't be. It should be small and sharp points. And you can see the length also in this. Okay, and you can see, you can notice whether it's a pseudophakic eye or aphakic eye according to the biometric scan. So the difference between both the eyes shouldn't be more than, axial length difference should be more than 0.03 millimeters. If it's more than 0.03, that means you have to repeat the measurements again. Okay. There might be some error during the measurement, or there might be some axial length difference between both eyes. And the same goes with the keratometry values also. Okay, the keratometry values shouldn't be more than 0.02 between both eyes, two eyes. Okay. 0.0. Sorry. Keratometry values. It shouldn't be more than 1 diopter or 0.2 millimeters. Okay. 0.2 millimeters. Sorry, 0.2 millimeters. 0.2 or axial length measurement shouldn't be more than 0.3 millimeters. 0.3 or 0.2. So these are the some IOL Master scans which are there. So now you can interpret according to the scan. Nilambika.
The eyes are phakic, as we can see. The axial length is 25.4 in the right eye, 25.32 in the left eye. So it indicates that the patient might be myopic. Then we can see that the AC depth is
Difference between two eyes.
the difference between two eyes is 0.08 mm. So which is also significant. So it
Okay.
Then the anterior chamber depth is 3.5 in the right eye and 3.47 in the left eye. The lens thickness is also similar. Um, then the the delta K values are plus 2.62 diopters. And
So what is the steeper axis and the flatter axis in this?
the steeper axis is present at 111 degrees and the flatter axis is present at 21 degrees.
Next.
We see according to the Barrett-Torres formula, we can to achieve an metropic eye, we can select the central value. So we can put a lens of plus 12 diopters with a spherical covariant of plus 12 with a plus 3 diopter cylinder at 113 degrees. So if we are applying an Alcon lens.
So you know the difference between with the rule astigmatism and against the rule astigmatism, right? So what is with the rule astigmatism?
So with the rule is when the steeper axis is in the 90 degrees. So around 90 degrees, if the steeper axis lies on the flatter axis lies around 180 degrees, that is with the astigmatism. Exactly opposite of it is against the rule astigmatism. The 90 degrees of flatter axis is the steeper axis lies around 180
degrees. So with the age, what type of astigmatism increases? against the rule astigmatism? What are the causes for increase in the against the rule astigmatism? Laxity, lid laxity decreases with age. So, against the rule astigmatism increases. Okay. So, here the patient has with the rule or against the rule? Axis is present at it's nearby with the rule astigmatism. In both the eyes, you can see and compare with both the eyes 90 degree in the left eye and 113 degree in the right eye. Okay, the patient has myopia, and so you should. What advice should you give to the patient? Now you have all the scan measurements, and here you can see and you have biometric scan also. Okay, so this is the biometric scan. So now, according to this, you interpret what type of IOL you should advise. So these are the measurements. We've already seen the IOL Master. So here you can see the total K, lenticular thickness, white to white, IX, IY. P is the pupillary diameter, which is present, and CWC is 0.0. So what type of IOL will you advise to the patient now? Is the on biometric scan, you should also see the fixation, if it's correct or not. There should be a foveal dip here. Okay. If it's flat, that means the measurement is not correct. We have to go for a lens to correct the distance vision. This patient can be advised about multiple toric and classical surgery. Yes, based on the IOL master scan on itself, and the patient is non-diabetic, and no other associated conditions are there, you can advise the patient multifocal toric, or according to the patient choice, you can go for a multifocal toric IOL in both eyes to achieve emmetropia. So, Vaishali, now you can interpret this scan.
And pixel length is in the right eye is 22.39 and left eye is 22.31. Then AC depth is 3.15 in right eye and in left eye it is 3.29, which is normal. Then lens thickness is also normal. It's steeper axis. It's at 104 at 14 degree. The steeper axis is there. That is 45.19 diopter, and flatter axis as 104 degree. That means it is a with the rule astigmatism. Steeper axis at 4.
How? 14 degrees.
It's near 180. Because at 14 degree means nearby 180 degree, which makes okay. Yes. So
we have to see is achieved
with
spherical
equivalent of 23.5 and the toric will be
+1.
+1 at 8 degree.
With against the rule astigmatism, we usually increase the power of the lens while installing. Okay. If you want to calculate the IOL power, there are different formulas and lens constants which are different for every IOL. Okay. So a specific company provides a specific IOL scan, toric scan. So it calculates all of the measurements and gives you a composite number where you can install the IOL accordingly. Okay. With against the rule astigmatism, you have to increase the power of toric power. Okay. Per installing, because with age against the rule astigmatism might increase. So to achieve emmetropia, that is important. Okay.
For a steeper exit 180 degrees, still we are prescribing +1 at 8 degrees.
Steeper axis at
180, like
8 degrees.
So we are prescribing +1 at 8 degrees. That means they are making it more steep.
At the IOL plane. Okay, when you are installing the when you are putting an IOL, this power is at an IOL plane. Okay, but you want the neutralization of the toric power at the corneal plane. Okay, not at the IOL plane. So you have to increase it. Okay. So this is the biometric scan now. See for these eyes, see.
So we do 0.5. So we cannot describe multifocal lenses.
So how do you interpret the CWC? You have to see the scan there. So the pupillary axis and the visual axis is different here. So it's far away from the visual axis, the pupillary axis is. So you can see the scanning. No? So it's 0.7. So should you advise multifocal in this patient, or you should rescan the patient again or to check for the fixation? Is if the fixation is okay. Here you can see, is the fixation okay? Here we can see the okay. So you have to recheck. Okay. Hmm? And there are different values here, like single values can be interpreted at single eye, one eye, and there are both eyes at the same time you can also watch. This is the left eye. Okay. So here you check. Its CWC is 0.2. So you can also see on the white to white scan that the pupillary and the visual axis is in the center. Okay. So this can be taken into consideration. But if you want to compare both the eyes, okay, it's better to compare both the eyes at the same time. So you have to recalculate or reassess the patient again. So you have to check for reassessment. Okay. And then only you can advise the patient. Okay. What are uh, so main interpretations which can be done with the IOL master? Okay. So can we do IOL master in patient who have corneal opacities or any other denser opacities? Because it's an optical biometry. You have to have a visual access to be clear. Even if there is a dense cataract, like if there is a dense PSC, so the center of the lens we can't interpret properly. So even if the points are defocused and away from the optical density, the IOL master can calculate that excellent, and there shouldn't be any major difference between those measurements. Okay, so you can consider even if we defocus it from the density of densest part of the lens. Okay. The other limitations can be the patient might have PPC, the central there is opacity, or the patient has a vitreous hemorrhage. So in those cases also there might be difficulty to do an IOL master scan. Okay. Yeah, there can be focal depression is lost in those cases also. So those cases also, and proper fixation is very important in those. So the patients who are infants, children, and who are mentally disabled, in those patients, it's difficult to do IOL master scan. So you have to do a immersion scan instead of IOL master. So you have these points you have to keep in mind. The dense cataracts, the patient who has corneal opacities, the PPC patients, vitreous patients. So these patients you have to repeat the scan using immersion scan. Okay. So okay, now to summarize the IOL master. So this is the most advanced technique which we are having, and it uses multiple formulas according to the multiple lenses which are all lenses which we use. So, so it's an optical biometer which measures the true length or exit length of the eye till the RPE, but it can measure also the difference. Actually, the exit length measurement is from the corneal surface, anterior corneal surface, to the internal limiting membrane, but it corrects the RPE distance, the internal limiting membrane distance, and the RPE. That distance it auto corrects. The difference it takes into consideration. Okay, and then it gives the interpretations. Okay. So basically it's a laser interferometry which measures all the axial length, the anterior chamber depth, the corneal curvatures, the white to white measurements. So based on all of these formulas, there are multiple IOL formulas which are there. Based on all these measurements, you can do a IOL calculations. Okay. There are limitations to it also. The limitations are far lesser than the proof of it. So basically, interpretation of the IOL master is very important. So now you know the basic interpretation what can be given to the patient or the IOL which should be advised to the patient. Okay. So so we can't hear you.
Now, am I audible
Yes,
now?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, class is over.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you spoke only about IOL Master.
Yes, sir. Today only IOL master, sir.
Okay. Because I think all of us need to know how to do the biometry using not just optical biometer, but also the immersion scan and auto ref keratometer, because IOL Master is not available most of the places.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so
So
I think
next,
next time I think with IOL Master, I think things are quite easy if you
yes, sir.
have the right calculation. Only important thing is to have a proper technician to who can do a proper IOL master biometry. And only thing we have to be worried about is the dry eyes. If the
Yes,
cornea is dry, then the keratometry is erroneous, and that is the only concern with IOL master.
yes, sir.
Okay, the next class I think give
Immersion.
different examples how to do keratometry and
Yes.
immersion also, and how to do IL power calculations using online Barrett formula.